Loading. System update. You are now part of the herd.
Do a double take, see me on fire, see that I can't break. Knew I'd be great, knew I would rise through all of the pain. All of the love, start with it now, keeper of all faith, never change.
Hi guys, welcome back to Loading Her. I'm Haley Binkley, and today we're talking about something that every woman chasing her goals faces at some point. Imposter syndrome. The little voice that whispers, "Who the fuck do you think you are?" And that voice has been very prominent for me. You know, diving into something new is always scary. And especially with this podcast where I have had no training, I am literally learning this all on my own. I don't know what I'm doing, but I am being transparent and raw and expressing myself and my personal thoughts. And it creeps in with me like, for some reason, like, who cares, you know? But it also is not loud enough to make me stop. And I just want to talk about it because it is showing up in other parts of my life, like with my real estate stuff, because that is new to me. And, you know, when you're doing something that's new, even though you have done the work to learn stuff that has to do with it, you've done the schooling, you've taken the test, you've passed the test, you're still not conditioned and you still don't know how to believe yourself why people should choose you. And there are a lot of competitive jobs out there, and real estate is one of them because everyone you know is probably in real estate, or at least you know somebody that's in real estate. And it doesn't have to be competitive. And where I am at and whom I am being taught by, that is not how she goes about things. She is more about like, let's all come together and get this property sold. And there's enough out there for all of us for it to go around. There's, you know, everybody has their niche, however you say that word. I say it both ways every time because I don't know the proper way, but it's like there's humble ways of going about it. So yes, it may be competitive, you know, because there's so many people in real estate, but it's also not competitive because there's people out there that are meant to work for you or with you. And there are houses that are meant to be your listings and that you can bring stuff to the table for those clients. So although it is a competitive market, she's not teaching me that you have to step on people to get to where you want to go with it. And I love that. So even in that world where I am learning that, you know, everybody is in real estate, which I had heard when I was in school. Everyone's like, oh, another real estate agent, you know, but the reason I did it is not necessarily for, obviously not for anybody but myself because I love it, but also to be able to buy properties and do my own real estate investing. And I just love it. I think it's fun. I think it's entertaining. I think it's interesting. So although I feel that way about it, imposter syndrome still decides to show up. And it definitely does that with the podcast and with the real estate. But, you know, these two things are things that I have thought about for a long time. That was something that I knew that I wanted to do. I feel confident in that. I feel confident in myself and my capability to do anything that I put my mind to. I definitely feel that way. But every time I go to sit down to record this podcast, more so with the podcast, I feel the imposter syndrome creeping in. And I'm like, the voice in my head is like, why does anybody care what you have to say? What makes you think that you can tell these people, anything that is important? And it's kind of funny because the whole reason I'm doing this podcast is because of a voice that was coming to me while I was sleeping in dreams, and that was speaking to me really loud, in a loud manner, much louder than my mean voice that's in my head telling me I can't do this and that I am not capable and that nobody cares and why would anybody listen to me. So it's almost like I've got the devil and the angel on my shoulders telling me two different things. But with that also being said, I still am sitting in front of you today. I still am recording my podcast. I still am pushing forward, pushing past the nervousness, pushing past the doubt, the self-doubt, creating merch, creating this foundation because I do believe in it. And even though have that mean voice in my head telling me that it's not something I should be doing and that nobody cares, I'm not listening to it. And much like when I sat down to take my real estate exam or even my massage therapy exam, that voice in my head was like, you don't know any of this. You're not smart enough to do this. You can't do this. I feel like we've all experienced this voice. And I really think that it is very common when you're doing something new. And there's so many people out there that are much further along in doing a podcast or real estate. And for some reason, we like to compare ourselves to people and look at what's wrong with us or why we're not doing it the way that they're doing. And social media, if anything, is the number one way that we compare ourselves. I mean, imagine what it was like before social media. It probably wasn't as extreme as it is now in the youth and women. I mean, we thought the magazines were bad that were telling us that we weren't pretty enough or skinny enough or had a big enough ass or lips weren't whatever it may be, We thought that was bad. I mean, we had no idea what was coming for us with this social media stuff. And now it's comparison in every manner of our lives. We're not traveling enough. We're not pretty enough. We're not successful enough in our job. We're not rich enough. Our relationship isn't perfect enough. We're not artistic enough. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And we need healthy outlets to not let that negativity be something that is the voice that is very much in our head every single day. And for me personally, even when I put on an outfit, like this is just an example, even when I put on an outfit, I really like clothes. I really like fashion, if you will, but I've always kind of been that way. And I don't know if like many people know that about me. Not saying that I like know everything about fashion or that I'm taking these big fashion risks, but in my family with my mom and my sisters, it's always been them asking me my opinion on their outfits, or sorry, my dog is, I don't know what he's doing. Hey guys, you want to come over here? Lay down. But with the, clothes and stuff, if I ever feel fat or ugly or like I don't look cute or whatever, not like it matters, because it doesn't matter, but for me it matters to be comfortable. I like to look cute or presentable or whatever that may be. Well, for one, I ask my boyfriend a million times, which he hates. But if he's not there, I'm usually looking in the mirror and being like, you know what, fuck it. Like, this is me today. But it takes pushing past that voice in my head that tells me I'm not good enough. And one thing I remember learning in therapy, mainly with my trauma situation, but I really think that it is relevant here too, is you have to rewrite the story in your head. And if there's anything that I feel like I do or have done to end up in this place in my life where I am so grateful every day to live my life the way that I do, and I'm so grateful for the people I'm surrounded by, and just every single day I wake up excited to live my life. And I really think that it is because I have manifested this life for myself and worked hard to get here, but also not let myself get in my own way. And I think that is a very common thing that we do. We get in our own ways. We freak ourselves out. If there's one thing that I feel like I took out of therapy, mainly with trauma, is what we were talking about with this, is like my relationship trauma and how I would let it get to the point to where I just could not see a different way. I could not see any way that I was safe. And I think this works here, is rewriting that story in your head that you tell yourself every day. Manifesting, rewriting, speaking the words that you speak to yourself, that I speak to myself, are reality. I mean, there's power to your words. There's energy to your thoughts. And I really think that that is the most important thing, right next to your self-love and your boundaries, is, I mean, I really think honestly they're the same, is how you talk to yourself. And a lot of the practices that we would do when I was in therapy, and that I have heard that my friends have done when they've been in therapy, is like, when you go to talk to yourself, or that critic steps into your mind, what would you tell your best friend if your best friend was talking to themselves like this? Or your sister, or somebody you love so much. You don't want to hear them talking to themselves like they talk, like you're talking to yourself. You don't want to hear them telling you, or telling themselves, that they're ugly or fat or not good enough or not capable, or that they can't do anything that they put their mind to, because they can, and you love them and you want to see them be successful and strong and capable and beautiful. You want them to feel beautiful. So as a practice for me to start being kinder to myself, I would have to picture that I was talking to a friend or a family member or somebody that I love so much, and I wouldn't want them talking to themselves that way. So why would I talk to myself that way? So I really think for me, what works is rewriting the story, like always, like with trauma, with life, with that imposter syndrome. Rewrite the story. I am a successful real estate agent. I am a successful podcaster. People care, people listen, people love me and want to support me. And I have to push past that mean voice in my head that's saying, why does anybody care? Why would anybody listen to what I'm saying? And all I'm trying to do here is be relatable. Not that like even live an unrelatable life. I'm just trying to like have this relatable space where we can all come together and see that we all are so much more similar than we think, and that no one is alone in this life. Even when you feel alone and you're having a hard time or you're hurting, 9 times out of 10 there's somebody out there feeling the same way that you're feeling and going through the same things that you're feeling. And pushing past, getting out of your own way, whatever that may look like, can really open up some things for you. And I really think that that's what I'm doing here. I'm not letting my mean thoughts stop me from pressing record on this podcast. I'm not letting them get in the way of me feeling like I'm annoying people with my real estate posts or my open houses or whatever it may be that I'm like telling myself. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to stop. I think one of the reasons that it is hard for me personally, like what happened with me in my childhood, for a long time, it was hard for me to trust my decisions and trust myself to think that I'm smart and capable. And I think that was because for a long time in elementary school, I was in EIP classes where I needed to be separated from people because I couldn't focus if somebody was tapping. I needed more time on tests. I am dyslexic, so it took me a long time to learn how to read. I believe I was in 5th grade before I actually learned how to read. And I was homeschooled in my first grade and 2nd grade. I was homeschooled. No, I lied. Kindergarten and 1st grade, I was homeschooled. And I've talked to my parents about my dyslexia before and how it took me a long time to learn how to read. And they were like, we just didn't know what was like, why it was so difficult for you to understand. And I don't really know what set me back. I don't really know. I mean, there weren't very many resources out there for kids with disabilities at the time that I was in elementary school. And not to knock on anybody, but when I was finally put into elementary school, public school, they were pulling us out of classes. But it made me wonder while I was in these smaller classes, although I loved being in it. I did. I met some friends in there and they were precious, precious human beings. And I'll never forget it, even though I was in 2nd grade. But being a young kid, wondering why you're different than all your friends and you're being taken out of these classes to be in a smaller class and learn different things. And it felt very more like the class was slower, like the way the teacher taught was slower. like we were singing songs and clapping and doing all these things while the other second graders were doing more adult things, if that makes sense. So in my little elementary school mind, I'm wondering what's wrong with me? Why am I different? Why am I having to leave these classes? I'm just not smart enough. And then you have the other kids that are the smart kids that are leaving the classes because they're in Target is what they called it. And they were smarter than everyone and they had to go to the more advanced classes. So it was very much known who was smart and who was not. And I think as a young kid, I didn't realize how much that was actually getting to me. I didn't realize how much I just kind of let myself believe that I wasn't smart. So even though I was in school and I felt like I did well in school, I mean, I was like probably B, C student. I wasn't crazy. I was obviously more worried about being social, as any girl is. But when I got out of, the long version of school where you start in elementary school and end in high school, where you're constantly going to school, when I got out of school and went to college and did other things like online classes and did my massage class and did my real estate class, I started to realize how smart I actually was. And it was a different energy. I obviously cared more. What I was learning about was something I was actually interested in. And it was like I rewrote what I had told myself for so long, that I wasn't smart, that I just wasn't book smart, that I wasn't capable. And I finally saw like something click in my head, like, oh, you are smart. You can do these things that everybody's doing. You are capable. And when I was in massage school, I loved it. I loved learning about the muscles and the bones and stuff. And every time I would take a class or a test, I would usually get like an A because I would study and I would learn and I learned what worked for me. But it took time. I mean, it took me that took me 20 something years to believe that I was smart and capable through school. Like, that's crazy. It's crazy that I told myself for that long that I wasn't capable. It makes me so grateful that my life ended up the way that it did. It makes me so grateful that ended up in my yoga teacher training after I was attacked, where I learned about spirituality. And I really think that is when things started to unfold for me personally, was I became more comfortable with my version of what God is, and that made me trust myself more. Like I've said on past episodes, I have a lot of trauma with religion, and I'll have to get into that on a whole other episode. But I don't even want to open that door. So I'm not going to. But I will another time. I don't even want to open that door. But through yoga, I learned who God was for me, and that made me learn myself better, which made me trust myself more, which made me realize how capable I was and how there really is magic out there in the world. And words have power, and the magic is the manifestation. I mean, I cannot say it enough. I probably sound like a crazy person because it's something I really believe. And when I say manifestation, I just mean your words and your actions, manifesting the actions that you do every day, the words that you tell yourself. I am capable. I am smart. I am beautiful. That is how you write your story, the story that you tell yourself. That is how you become the her that you want to be. That is how you grow out of your restrictions on yourself. That is how you be anything that you want to be, is you believe that you're capable and you tell yourself that you're capable because you are. I am on my 10th episode of loading her, and I've learned a lot. And I hope to learn more and do a little bit more. I hope to do a little bit more research on editing and learning editing like more. So I hope that you guys stick with me through my learning experience and through my growing, and I hope we can grow together. And I just really thank you guys for supporting me and listening this season on loading her. And I'm really excited for next season. I am going to keep it short today. I wanted to end this episode with stories from you guys, but where my imposter syndrome came in was I didn't hear anything from you guys, which was fine when I did a call to action to, want to hear your stories, because I feel like I've just been talking all about me and my life, and that's fine. I have a lot of stories and I will keep telling my stories as long as you guys are listening. Even if you're not, there will be somebody out there that's listening that can learn from something that I've learned, hopefully, or feel not alone going through something that I'm going through. But yeah, I did the call to action and was like, hey, y'all share your stories with me, because I wanted to end this segment this season with hearing from you guys. And I understand that people are at different points in their life, and not everyone is comfortable sharing the stories of their life and things that they're going through, and that's fine. But if you do have one that you'd like to share, or you do want to reach out, please do. I am more than happy to hear your story and share with everyone. I just wanted to end this season with hearing from you guys. And it's okay that I didn't, because I know you're still there, and I know you're listening, and I know we'll get to a point to where you feel more comfortable and where I feel more comfortable, and hopefully I get better, even though I do think I am doing an okay job for someone who's just now learning. But I wanted to end the season with hearing from you guys, just to feel a little bit more of a community with you. And I do feel a sense of community with you guys liking and sharing. And even when you're out there just listening, I can see that you're listening. Not who you are, but I can see that you're listening. And that's good enough for me. And I will keep having guests, and we will all keep speaking about our stories and letting you listen. And it will be people that are ready to share their stories, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. So with that being said, I do thank you guys for listening. I thank you for being here. I thank you for supporting loading her. I hope this episode spoke to you. I am sorry that it is going to be short today, but I just think this is a great place to leave it. And I think, whether we're just getting to know each other or you've known me for a long time, I think that this was a great first season, first 10 episodes. It doesn't mean that I'm going anywhere, that I'm stopping this anytime soon. I just am ending this season to hopefully start over with season 2 with more experience, more editing, just having a stopping place to kind of put a bow around my learning experience in the first 10 episodes. So if you would like for me to interview you eventually, or if you want to just type in a story, if you have anything that you want to share with me, feel free to email me at loading.herpodcast@gmail.com. As always, thank you guys for listening. I really love you, and I cannot wait to see where we are headed with this. So thanks again. We will talk soon, guys. I'm Haley Binkley, and this is Loading Her. Bye.
Double take, see me on fire, see that I can't break. Knew I'd be great, knew I would rise through all of the pain. All of the love, so within now, keeper of all faith. Never changed.